secretary, our researcher, and our coordinate advisor, and our support staff. Greetings to you all. Today we going to deal with our own internal issues as the committee without the department. We'll be dealing with the minutes of all the meetings that we held in June, with the last one that we had joined the select committee. Also our report, and Nola has assisted us this time. The information that we wanted from the department, we also do have it. So we'll also track our resolutions. So our today's meeting will only be based on that. I will then invite Nola to inform us, do we have any apologies in this meeting? Nola?
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning to all honorable members and colleagues. We've got 4 apologies on our side. That is from Honorable Hicklin, Honorable Thring, Honorable Van Staden, as well as Honorable Chwak. Those are the only apologies that we have, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Nola. I don't know whether are you going to you going to display the agenda on the on the screen for everyone, or are we going for the next item? Nola, your mic is on mute.
Apologies, Chair, I wasn't aware. Yes, we can display the agenda on the screen.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's if you can see it properly, or can I zoom into it?
No, it's clear. It's clear. Honorable members, can you all see it?
You can see
okay.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's deal with the minutes. The first batch of minutes.
Thank you, Chair. The first batch of minutes is the minutes of the meeting that was held on the 2nd of June. I'm sure the members have already gone through it. Is it visible on the screen? So we will first check the attendance. I would like to urge the members to just double check the attendance on that day, and then go to the resolutions. So the committee on the day resolved that it should get a briefing from the minister on the exit strategy of the IDT and possible alternatives to the future of the entity during the week of 27 June 2020. And if I may, Chairperson, on the 24th of June, that's exactly when we had that very presentation from the minister, as well as the director in the Office of the Presidency, responsible for infrastructure, Dr. Ramokgopa, when they brought by a presentation on that issue, on the infrastructure plan for the country after COVID-19. The second resolution was that we should have a resolutions tracker comprising of all the resolutions with the compliance dates that had to be shared with the members, as well as the department on a monthly basis, so that we can monitor our actions towards resolving issues that emerge from the oversight activities. And as the chairperson has alluded to this one, we did send the resolutions tracker for the members and the department to just go through and engage, so that we can be able to monitor progress, as it were. Thank you, Chairperson.
Honorable members, can we agree that they reflect what we discussed on the day. Or can we get a mover? Yes.
Shabalala moves.
Honorable Shabalala moves for the adoption of the minutes. A seconder.
I'm happy to second, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Graham. Seconds that first batch of minutes. Can we then go to the second set of minutes?
Thank you, Chairperson. The second set of minutes are the minutes of the meeting that was held on the 11th of June, 2020. And again, I would urge the members to just double check the attendance if it's correctly captured on the day. And then we can zoom into the resolutions of that meeting. Right, if we look at 5.1, the DPW and PMT should submit supportive documents for the performance targets instead of merely summaries in the performance report. So this is where we dealt with the fourth quarter report. And so the committee felt that there was not enough information in that regard, and that the report should be with a full detail on a quarterly non-financial and financial performance. So we also requested the department to further report on the incidents of underspending and irregular expenditure to the committee so that the actual reasons can be identified and dealt with. So if you look at the resolutions tracker, honorable members, you'd find that these items are listed as ongoing because it's things that have to be constantly reported on a quarterly basis. I'll pause it there, Chair, for these minutes.
Can I get these minutes reflect what happened on the day, honorable members? Can I get someone who's going to confirm, then moves? Honorable Jobo?
Can I
Chairperson, yes, Chairperson, I confirm.
And you move for the adoption. Honorable Jobo, can I get a seconder?
Shabalala seconds, Chair.
Honorable Chabalala seconds the mover of the adoption of these minutes. The last set, Nola, is it the last set? No, it can't be the last set. The last set are the one of the 9th. The last set are the one of the 9th.
Yes, it's not yet the last. The minutes that we're considering now are the minutes of a meeting that was held on the 17th of June, 12 o'clock. I'll also request members to just double check the attendance, and then we zoom into the resolutions. Okay, on the 17th of June, the committee was briefed by the department on the IDT exit strategy. So one of the resolutions was that the minister should submit a full report on the work that the task team completed from its inception. As you reported that there was a task team that was working on the IDT issue. This had to include the details on how to address government's challenges of the IDT. The second one was that a detailed report of the work of the 2018 task team dealing with the transformation attempts that consisted of the DPWI, National Treasury, and the IDT had to be provided. The first resolution was dealt with in that we received a presentation from the DPWI on the infrastructure plan, but the second one was not, we have not yet received that report because the work that we were briefed on didn't include the work that was done by the task team in 2018. So that is still outstanding, Chair, and we shall follow up with that. However, the department is also aware because we also sent them the resolutions tracker. That should be all from my side, Chair, for now.
Can we then get someone who confirms and moves for the adoption of these minutes.
I'm moving, Chair.
Honorable Sharon confirms and moves for the adoption of the minutes. Can we get a seconder?
I'll second.
I can't hear clearly. I think, who is the seconder, Honorable?
Mjobo.
Or Honorable Mjobo supports and seconds Honorable Sharon. That is the third set, Nola. The last set.
It's not the last set, it's the next. The next set of minutes is the minutes of the meeting that was held on the 24th of June 2020, where we got a briefing from the DPWI on the infrastructure investment plan, which I've just referred to in the previous minutes. So we zoom into the resolutions. The committee resolved that it would conduct its own workshop on the Infrastructure Development Act during the third term of 2020. And I can confirm that during our management meeting that we had yesterday, the management of this portfolio, we resolved that this would form part of the third term program, which will be shared with the members as soon as the MENCO considers that. That will be after the programming committee of the National Assembly has deliberated and decided on a third term program going forward. The second resolution was that the DPWI should submit a detailed list of all infrastructure projects as referred to the presentation prior to the oversight visit of the committee. As we previously stated, that the committee is envisaging to undertake an oversight visit to Bay Bridge in Limpopo, as well as the regional offices in Limpopo and Gauteng during the month of August, from the 3rd to the 7th, if I may be exact. We have thus submitted an application to the House Chairperson. We yet await a response in that regard. So that resolution will have to be adhered to by the department before we go on that visit. Thank you, Chair.
Can I get someone who's going to move for the adoption of these minutes as they are a true reflection? Yes, Honorable Njobo.
I move the adoption of the minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Njobo.
Shabalala seconds, Chair.
Honorable Shabalala seconds the adoption of the minutes. Thank you. Lola?
Thank you, Chair. The last set of minutes, oh, no, not the minutes. The last set of minutes are the minutes of a meeting that was held on the 9th of July, in which we were joining the Select Committee on Transport, Public Service and Administration, Public Works and Infrastructure. We got the briefing from the DPWI on the environments that were made after the tabling of the budget adjustment. So there we also have our committee members. And then we zoom into the resolutions. The first one was that the committee requested the department to submit the list of schools that had been decontaminated and sanitized by the EPWP participants. I think this was the reason why the committee resolved on this. That list has not yet come through. What we do is we usually give the department about 7 days from the date of request of request of a report to come back to us. So that on the resolution striker, you'd note that it has been given the due date of the 16th of July, which is tomorrow. Also, the list of quarantine sites across the country that had to be submitted to the committee, this was already submitted on the 10th of July. And then the committee also requested the DPWI to submit an organogram of the new DPWI that shows how the infrastructure function would be incorporated. Here, the minister stated that they're still in consultation with the DPSA, and therefore they wouldn't be able to give us the organogram as yet. However, they would indicate to the committee as soon as that is available. Thank you, Chairperson.
Chair, may I make an input on this, please?
Okay. Yes, Honorable Graham.
Thank you. Just with respect to how the minutes have been captured, both you and I asked in that meeting whether it was an additional 5,000 EPWP participants, or whether it was an additional 20,000 over and above what had already been allocated for COVID-19. I can't recall us getting any clarity on that. The minutes here are reflecting that it was 20,000, but I'm not sure whether or not it's the full 45,000 have been allocated for this, or whether it's an additional 20,000 over and above, because those first 25,000 weren't allocated for school fees. And in the presentation, it said that there were 45,000 allocated for school fees. So we actually still have to get clarity on that. The other question that I asked in that meeting was who's going to be monitoring and implementing this EPWP program? And again, we never got a response on it. And my question was, is this, because it's non-state sector, is this also going to be done to the IDT? And if so, what are the management fees that the IDT is going to charge? Because on the last 25,000, the IDT charged the department 11 million rand for implementation, which had not been budgeted for and which reflects nowhere. So we still need information, and I'll make the same input on our report because it applies in the report as well. But if we can just capture that somewhere in these minutes, that we still have no clarity on the actual number of participants, and we have no clarity on which program they fall under. It said non-state sector in the report, which means then that it falls under IDT. And if that is the case, then what is IDT going to charge for the implementation? Thank you, Chair. And then I will be happy to adopt the minutes on that basis.
Sorry, Chairperson, it's Patricia.
Yes, Honorable Kopan.
Good morning, everyone. Chair, I just want to rectify something. On that day, I was part of the meeting, but I see that there's an apology. It's just that I joined late. I was struggling with the network. Thank you.
Okay, can we correct that, Honorable? In fact, Honorable Kopan, no Honorable Jobo. I think they were the ones who joined the meeting later on that particular day. Can you correct that, Nola?
Yes, Chair, we shall correct it. Honorable Jobo is, however, listed as a present member. So we'll just edit Honorable Kopan's one.
Okay. And to the issue that Honorable Graham is raising, she raised it in that meeting, and for real, there was no answer coming on. But I also appreciate the fact that on the minutes you have raised the issue of 1.6 vis-a-vis the 2.1 that was there and that we raised, but we didn't get even an answer on that one. But you have raised it in the minutes. So can you please also indicate the one that Honorable Graham has raised? Honorable Graham has said that she then moves for the adoption, but with the amendment that she has picked up. Can I get a seconder? And also Honorable Kopan to appear on the list as one of the members that attended.
Seconded, Chair, with amendments.
Okay, Honorable Jobo seconds that with also amendments. Thank you. I think we are through with the issue of the minutes.
Yes, Chair.
Yeah. Okay. Then can we then get on the report? The report of the fourth quarter. And I think even on the report, Nola, you must zoom in on our recommendations as the committee.
Thank you, Chairperson. My colleague Shoaib will deal with the fourth quarter report. Then I'll come back again for the adjustment report. Through you,
Okay.
Chairperson, I would like to over to Shoaib.
Okay, then you must then remove the agenda on the screen and put in the report.
Yes, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Nola, are you going to put, yeah. Perfect. Chairperson, good morning, honorable members. Good morning, Chairperson. We will not go through every single page and every paragraph of this report. It is a report that reflects the presentation that was done on the fourth quarter financial and non-financial performance of the department and the PMTE. We did this on the 11th of June. In other words, we received a presentation from the department on this. Chair, we know the introduction is going to, or the background is going to be a fairly normal one that we always have. Nala, can we move to the, a bit lower down? The legislative mandate, Chairperson, we know that as well. That is basically the Constitution and the Government Immovable Asset Management Act. Specifically, Schedule 4 of the Constitution. I think, Chair, we need to just have a look at our observations and conclude this one, because just to say, Chair, that one of the things that we need to look out for with the department, and the report in the early part reflects this, is the matter of in-year reports that, according to the PFMA, the DDGs and the DG must make to the Minister and to Treasury, reflecting blockages and problems. They must report that early on. So the observations will then pick up, and the findings will pick up on some of the problems that a lack of those types of in-year reports may cause. These are also matters that often get raised by the Auditor General's office. Over a number of years, it's been raised very often that supply chain management does not comply to laws and regulations, PFMA as well as National Treasury practice notes. So one of the first observation, Chairperson and members, the inclusion of the infrastructure component under the department that is now called Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. The former Public Works Department had to take into consideration the impact that this would have. So the department's organizational structure, that is the organogram and the budget, will be impacted once the final stages of agreement has been concluded with Treasury and the Department of Economic Development. Now, just to say that this refers to the infrastructure development management system that is held by Treasury, and the secretariat portion that is held, used to be under the Department of Economic Development. That is the 60.8 million that has been transferred to Program 4 of the department, and that is earmarked for use of the Secretariat of the Presidential Infrastructure Coordinating Commission. So the second bullet refers to the department. Nola, if you can just move it slightly up. The department continuing to experience challenges with the fluctuation in the exchange rate when making payments to the Commonwealth War Graves Commission. for the maintenance of soldiers' graves. These are the graves, the monuments and graves in Paris, where we pay money, not only in Paris, in other parts of the world as well, for soldiers that fell during the war. Now, the exchange rate means that sometimes we pay quite a lot of money for the maintenance. And of course, this would then result in over and under expenditure under that sub-program. That's also falling under Program 4. Now, here's a environment of 3 million that was shifted from Program 4, goods and services contracts, to Program 1, administration. Can we just go to the top of page 12, Nola? And that is for legal services. Now, these are legal services requires this type of funding for cases against the minister, and there are quite a few cases. We would recall that when we visited in November 2019, the minister was asked about that. I can remember, I think we were in the library section of the department at the head office, or maybe in the office where they dealt with receipts when this question was asked. Next, the department, the realignment of the department's main and sub-programs. The highlighted role of the PMTE to ensure that it provided accommodation to departments and management of the real estate of government. Now, this is guided by the Government Immovable Asset Management Act. We said the PMTE is supposed to be a separate ring-fenced government component with this transformed arrangement within the department, acting as an implementer of property and construction business. So the department's role then changes to that of a regulator. In the past, before the PMTE was operationalized in 2015-16 financial year, the department was both a regulator as well as the implementer. Now there's a slight separation where the PMTE is the implementer and the department does regulation. The thing is that this realignment of the main and sub-programs, we do not always get, and I don't know whether the members has ever seen an organogram that is updated, that tells us precisely which DDG does what in the PMTE as well as in the department, so that we can see that separation of the role between the department as regulator and the PMTE as implementer. And of course, you'll notice in that bullet, it refers to PMT, the business, the property and construction business. That business component, that issue of the trading aspect of property management and trading entity, that aspect is something that we will have to seriously become very robust about. So the establishment of the PMTE, all accommodation-related costs, the payment of rates, sorry, let me leave the payment of rates, the accommodation-related costs and the maintenance-related costs devolved to each of the national departments, the client departments. Now, this means that the PMTE would do maintenance work and would invoice departments for the services provided. This is where the problem lies. They do this on a quarterly basis based on amounts devolved to them. The department reported that the receipt of invoices was slow and therefore affected the payment of invoices in a timely manner. This problem here, honorable members, has to do with the PMTE operating with a funding gap. In other words, it's not getting the money back from departments timeously enough because the invoicing is taking place at a very slow rate. The solution, the department has always spoken about the solution as that of an ICT solution. In other words, the implementation of Archibus and the rollout of Archibus and Sage, so that they can then speed up the invoicing and they can get their debt paid back. and that the funding gap can be addressed. The department further reduced its expenditure on consultants and outsourced services. It was in the process of ensuring that the staff within the department execute the necessary functions. Department reported slow spending under compensation of employees and goods and services, mainly due to the non-filling of vacancies and the payment for goods and services due to non-receipt under the programs. Nola, can we move up? And that's for programs 1 to 4. Non-filling of vacant positions is a problem, and it's been addressed and dealt with. We've made several recommendations in this regard. Now, matters that emerged, we say that the performance report for quarter 4 showed a lack of control in reporting and accounting systems of DPWI and PMTE. The department explained that it was due to its, and here the issue is raised. They blame ICT reporting systems that was being renewed. Now, this also affects EPWP. EPWP is being run with an old system. Honorable Graham's query about the aspect that had to be inserted more correctly in the minutes had to do, and that's the issue of IDT and non-state sector EPWP. The management of the numbers that come in from the different sectors for EPWP happens via an ICT system. That system is old. It's manual currently. The same with the payment of invoices. It gets done almost manually. And so payments of goods and services does not, the numbers do not reflect what's happening on the ground. And so we sit with the funding gap. Slow progress of establishing a credible, legally and financially compliant immovable asset register, again, an ICT matter. And here the matter hits the trade aspect. If you do not have a proper register, you are unable to say what the values are of the property or the values are of the square meterage that you are renting out. And you cannot then unlock the value of your real estate. Can we go further up, please, Nola? The matter of client departments moving in on the mandate of the department is serious. This matter has been raised, and this is a matter that came to the fore, especially when it comes to the Defence Force, but also other departments. And it has to do with trust and faith in terms of construction and maintenance, how long the department takes to get certain things done. The committee was not pleased with the coordination of skills development and EPWP projects at the multi-levels of government because it is not resulting in sufficient skills transfer for EPWP beneficiaries. And if that sufficient skills transfer is not there, we will not see EPWP beneficiaries graduating from being people who are vulnerable, unqualified, to people who are able to entrepreneurially, I can't say that word, start their own businesses and move into the formal economy. The committee felt that the high rate of under expenditure required urgent attention because the financial performance showed a very high rate of under expenditure. DPWI gave these reasons. The CFO, I remember, presented this. Said that contractors completed projects slow because contractors themselves had cash flow problems. The PMT and DPWI needed to provide technical support in the form of mentors so that they could manage their cash flow properly. Now, so there's a problem. Here is a possible solution. Just heads up that this is something that we need to do oversight over strongly. Second bullet, the department had to find ways to ensure improved performance of consultants. It was working with legal services to penalize them. In other words, it's working with legal services to make certain that it has a regulatory control that is not illegal when it penalizes service providers and consultants when they do not achieve targets on time. Underreporting of EPWP by provinces, NPOs, and municipalities had to be addressed in the service level agreements with contractors. This is a similar point to the second one. And then the fourth bullet, the contractor incubation program was an advanced stage, but the COVID-19 lockdown caused delays. This was a refrain in this quarterly performance report, that the COVID-19 lockdown caused delays. Could we move further up, please? The low turnaround of infrastructure task team could be dealt with by the institutionalization of a standard setting protocol implemented by the regional managers of each of the 11 regional offices and the DPWI head office that is regularly monitored and reported on. Now, if we can move up, Nola, the policy matter, this is a long outstanding matter, and it has to do with the fact that the white papers were not reviewed properly, as well as we don't get any idea of a concrete outcome. And we are pushing over the next 5 years for this to be sorted out, so that the stronger legislative framework is there for public works. It is stronger on its mandate. Client departments can't take this function over, and it can deal properly with its capacity weaknesses in property and construction industry policy and research. The DG reported that he was working with Treasury to ensure that there was cooperation across all departments to address the under-recovery of debt. We're going to go to the next paragraph. DG also announced that he made a request to Treasury to move all infrastructure budgets back to the department. We may need to find out in the next few months how far he got with this. DG requested that all departmental budgets and infrastructure departments be ring-fenced to stop the use of the funds for other purposes, because they found that during this period it started being used for COVID-19 purchases. We can go to the next page, Nola. The committee raised, we can't finish that quickly. The committee raised, there was another portion further up. Okay. There was an issue, oh no, sorry, Nola, it's fine, it's fine. Top 14, sorry. Irregular expenditure, we are concerned about it. We raised it. The department reported irregular expenditure was due to the ICT issue. Minister then responded and announced that all senior management was taken for training with the AG's office so that they could understand the repercussions under the new legislation for the office of the AG, that if there is under expenditure and malpractice and corruption, that the particular deputy director general, chief directors and directors, so post level 13 up, that they punitive steps could be taken against them, and that is an effort, that's an attempt on the part of the minister and the AG's office to ensure that there's tighter control by the department senior managers. Can we move further up, Nola? She also emphasized consequence management, spoke of an audit done on vacancies, decision to lift the moratorium and all funded posts would be filled. That moratorium comes on from the handover period from one executive authority to the next. Can we move slightly further up for the next bullet, Nola? Update report would be made to the committee on the SIU cases. I think no, we didn't. There is some update, also an update on SIU investigations regarding the courts that we need to also inform the committee about at another occasion. The acting posts of the DDG positions for property and construction, industry policy and research, and EPWP were being advertised, and that would be filled soon. Now, the registry program, real estate and investment services program, in the PMTE reported that it was in an advanced stage of developing government precincts. This is a very interesting program. The real estate investment services should be the trading portion, but in this case, it's also putting up what we call government precincts in rural and peri-urban towns across the country to bring services closer to people. It further referred to challenges in developing these precincts because they have to work with the municipalities. Now, the Spatial and Land Use Management Act, we just need to fix the L there, it should be a capital. SPLUMA and IDPs, very often, because municipalities lack capacity, it is this REIS of PMTE that would come in and say to them, we want to establish a government precinct where all service level departments are closer to the people in a specific space, but your land use regulation is blocking us. So they were talking about the importance of bringing government, the National Department of Public Works and Infrastructure's legislative regime closer to that of SPLUMA so that they can assist with IDPs. Chairperson, that is the report, and this report is for the NA to be noted. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members.
Thank you, Shuaib. Honorable members, can I then note those that want to engage and discuss the report?
I'd like to engage, please, Chair.
Okay, Honorable Graham.
Can I go?
Okay, continue because I don't see another hand. Someone, you can even raise your hands in the,
On the participant side. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I just have two inputs. The one, they're just merely observations. The one is, as Shuaib highlighted, and I remember in the meeting, the department saying that the COVID-19 crisis had delayed issues and whatever. The crisis happened 5 days before the end of the financial year. You cannot tell me that that lockdown had an impact on their spending for the financial year. If a department is waiting until the last 5 days of a financial year to finalize all their spending and their projects, then there's something terribly, terribly wrong in that department. So I find it disingenuous of the department to be blaming COVID-19 for a failure to spend or to fulfill their mandate in the financial year that's just passed. And then the other thing that concerns me is obviously the request by the Director General to ask everybody to send back the infrastructure projects to the department. We still have no idea really of how this whole thing's going to look. And again, I think that's just the DG saying what he thinks we want to hear, because at this point, based on what the Minister has said to us, the department is actually not going to be that much in control of infrastructure projects. It's going to be doing more of an oversight role through other agencies and other departments. So I do think we need to monitor that closely and make sure that we are keeping a close check on what's happening with regard to the infrastructure mandate of the department. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Graham. Honorable Jobo. Honorable Jobo, your hand is up. Honorable Jobo. Honorable Jobo's hand is up in the...
My hand is not.
It's still up even now.
We can all see it's up.
Any other member that wants to take a bite on the report? I fully agree with Honorable Graham. The fourth quarter expenditure, it was wrong for them to say that COVID happened. No. That one is not the truth. We understand for their projections in this quarter, that is the first quarter of this financial year, COVID happened. So for them, this financial year, they may have challenges. But for the last financial year, they cannot blame the COVID, as Honorable Graham is correctly putting so. But what we need to do is to have, in Xhosa we say, iliso lokhozi. We need to look and read everything using a fine comb. What we given by the department. The reality, some of these issues, even in the legacy report, they were there. A year now has passed. Some of them have not been done. So we really need to play our oversight role, and as we are also monitoring our resolutions, we also look at that. This question of the infrastructure, I think we have asked several times. How are we going to play oversight? We're going to play oversight on minister, but the department is not going to be the one that is doing the projects. It's another entity. How are we going to ensure that we also play oversight? Because infrastructure is with this department that we're playing oversight to. So it's really an issue, but we have to do it. We have no alternative. We have to do it. And how are they going to report? Look, even in terms of budget, the budget of infrastructure is not with us. That is the reality. That 60 million can be the one that is going to do the 55 projects that we have been told that they are going to undertake this year. So it shows that we still have to do a lot in terms of the infrastructure, and we have a serious challenge on that one. But I hope our content advisor and the researcher will see ways of how we're going to cross this bridge. We have requested the last time that we must get those 55 projects that are going to be done, though we know that there's no budget that is going to come to this department for those projects. But the report, in its sense, is in fact what we discussed and what we raised, Shuaib and Ines and Nola. The report, you have captured the essence of our discussions with them. Can we then adopt it as this committee, the report that is in front of us?
I propose adoption, Chairperson. It's Honourable Graham.
Honourable Graham Mare moves for the adoption of the report.
Jobo, seconded, Chair.
Honourable Jobo seconds the Honourable Graham. Can we then get the report of the adjustment budget? I think it is the one that we're moving to now. Thank you, Nala. Then can you come in?
Thank you, Chair. I just need to get confirmation if it's appearing on the screen. I'm trying to minimize this because it's disturbing my view. All right, Chairperson, this report is mainly meant for the National Assembly to consider the amendments that were made to the allocations for 2020-21 within the programs in vote 13, that is Public Works and Infrastructure. Apologies. So as the honorable members are aware that with our department, the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, there was no addition nor deduction of funds by the National Treasury. However, there were requirements that were made within the department to cater for a few aspects, COVID-19 related issues included. All right, so because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the department had to assist the Department of Health with the identification and coordinating of preparedness of the quarantine sites. It also had to assist the Department of Basic Education with the sanitization of schools and other amenities. It also had to assist the Department of Home Affairs with the repatriation and supply of accommodation sites for South Africans that would have repatriated from foreign countries. So the adjustments had to be made to cater for such things. So if I may go through the analysis of the revised budget on each program. For COVID-19 preparations, the reallocation was 829 million. For EPWP, it was 771 million. And for the post of entry, a reprioritization of funds was meant to cater for the quarantine and repatriation of South Africans, which amounted to 597 million. If I may jump to the observations. The reprioritized funds were to ensure that accommodation services to the Department of Health and Home Affairs were made available. The DPWI would then claim such funds back as management fees from the client departments. So the committee recommended that the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure should ensure that the internal audit of the department has capacity to deal with all fraudulent activities in relation to the procurement of COVID-19 pandemic goods and services. And I remember this point when honorable members raised it in the meeting. We know there's been a lot of reported corruption activities within the department itself. And so the committee really felt that COVID-19 and its deviations should really not be a vehicle to necessitate those even further. So the department had to also provide the committee with a report on the impact of the 45,445 EPWP participants recruited to clean and sanitize the schools. This is exactly what Honorable Graham was referring to. The list of schools that have been decontaminated, the list of quarantine sites, and the organogram. So the last three recommendations would also appear on the minutes of the very meeting. So what we've done is, therefore, I remember when I was prepping for this meeting last night, I realized that on the resolutions tracker, these were somehow missed out. And so we've thus amended that and will submit the amended list to the honorable members. So this report is for the House to consider and note the reprioritization of funds and reasons as outlined above. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Nola, for the report on the adjusted budget. Honorable members, can we then engage on this report?
Chairperson.
Yeah, Chair.
Honorable, okay, Honorable Shabalala, Honorable Graham, who else? Okay, Honorable Shabalala.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Chairperson. I think somewhere I am a bit lost as to the number of the actual number of the EPWP participants. There's been 25,000, and I would have wished that we put it in such a way that we tell us what is the exact. Because for me, like I did ask in the previous meeting, that it will be very that they need to indicate to us whether the number has decreased or the number has increased, because we are facing a huge job loss, but over and above, we're facing poverty and hunger within our communities. Thank you.
Honorable Graham.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just in line with what Honourable Shabalala is saying, we were told as well last year, I think it was, or earlier this year, it was earlier this year, 25,000 youth had been contracted through EPWP, through the IDT, to do tracking and tracing. There were a whole number of issues that they were going to raise, that they were going to work with the Department of Health through tracking and tracing. I'm trying to think what the other things were. I can't remember off the top of my head. We've never had a report on that. So maybe that needs to be included. So we need it, because that was a COVID activity as well, and would then also have been covered by an extraordinary budget towards COVID. So perhaps we also need to, at some stage, request a report on that activity. That was the 11 million that the IDT charged us for. So we need to know what value for money we got from the IDT. I know for a fact that the IDT are not running programs through the non-state sector at this stage in various areas. We've got a case locally where they still haven't engaged from the beginning of the year. I have raised it on several occasions, but it's not being addressed. So they've charged us 11 million rand for the implementation of the 25,000 youth that were going to that program, but we've never ever seen a report on that, nor have we got feedback on what they're doing with respect to their normal non-state sector activities as the IDT. So I think we should request that over and above the report on the 45,000 EPWP. And again, I want to emphasize that we have to find out which department or which sub-department or which is going to be responsible for these 45,000 now, and also whether there's going to be a management fee. So I think that must come to this committee. And then one of my concerns was with respect to the quarantine sites. I looked at the list that we received. I'm not sure if you know, Madeline Hicklin and myself have been very involved with oversight of quarantine sites for the repatriated citizens of South Africa. So we've worked extensively with a lot of the sites, particularly in Gauteng, KZN, and the Western Cape. I can tell you that list is incorrect, just from the few sites that we've worked with. So this is not, what would actually be very interesting is to see a comparison between what the DPWI are saying are the quarantine sites that have been activated and worked on versus the quarantine sites that the Department of Health have actually utilized. I'm very, very concerned that there's going to be a lot of money going missing where they're claiming that they've activated sites, and I can tell you now they haven't been activated, or they're not claiming certain sites that have been activated, which we know have been activated. So at some point we're going to have to request an audit of the monies that have been spent on quarantine sites, and we will need to draw a comparison between what the DPWI is claiming have been used as quarantine sites versus what the Department of Health have been using. So that is just something we need to look at in terms of our oversight. And then the last question I have is, why did the CFO have no idea about the 527 million rand in that third environment my dogs are barking, I apologize, through that third environment when I raised it in that meeting, and it was in the National Treasury document. So it's deeply concerning. It appears as though the CFO and the department are working outside of the National Treasury, or they're not working in conjunction with them if they've missed an entire R500 million environment. So it is something that we still need to follow up on as to why that wasn't included in their report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Graham. Any other question, comment?
Chairperson.
Yes. Honorable Siwisa.
Thank you, Chair. Let me say good morning to everyone. It's not a very good morning to me, but some things you have to deal with them and to move on. Chair, there's something that I also want, I don't know how it's going to be captured, but it was based on the program that the department is going to embark on sanitizing. Is it a continuation of the program that has already been done by the Department of Education, or are they going to focus on other schools, or are they going to focus on schools that are actually in their database? Because I remember at some point I was asking a question of which schools are in the database of the Department of Public Works when they were talking about EPWP and the feeding scheme and everything else. So I don't know how it's going to be captured. And coming back to the quarantine sites, I was also a bit confused as to number of sites identified and number of sites that have been active. And also looking at that list, you could see that some of those sites, that's why I raised this issue, because the department is going to make payments for sites that do not actually exist. And we'll have to again deal with the report of fruitless and wasteful expenditure from the AGS report, because the COVID-19 is a special project on its own. So it's going to have its own audit at a later stage. So if they can not be truthful to us pertaining the quarantine sites, then we are going to have a problem. And another question that I also asked, I don't know how it's going to look. I made an emphasis when the minister said people are volunteering that their lodges and their BNBs must be used. I asked a specific question if those people are being paid. Because if you volunteer, it means you say that I'm volunteering my place to volunteer and to actually submit a tender to utilize your facilities. It's two different things. So my understanding about volunteering is that I'm doing it for free. And my question to the minister was, are you actually paying these people that are actually calling you to say that my place is available for quarantining? So what are the terms and conditions for a person who volunteers their places? So those are some of the things. I don't know how they are going to be captured in this whole report. And then, is it a build up on the because another question that I asked was, we already, before the lockdown, there were already EPWPs beneficiaries that were already in the system. And then there was lockdown, everything was shut down. Were those people considered and being a build up on the already list of beneficiaries that are there? The ones that are being recruited, is it an addition on the ones that are already there? Or are those people going to be put aside and then we are going to focus on a totally new list? I don't know how those are going to be captured into the findings and the questions that were asked. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Siwisa. I think we all agree that on the day of the joint committee, many of the questions that were raised by honorable members were not responded to in a proper manner. I think it is also then up to us to write again those questions to the minister so that the minister can also respond properly. The issue of the 45,000 EPWP, the list of the school, as I think as Nola has indicated, so we don't yet have this info. The issue of Department of Basic Education and Public Works, it was raised. I agree with you. It was raised, and the quarantine sites for those that are repatriated from the countries outside the South Africa, even that it was raised clearly. But Nola, can you come in? The issue of 597, that one, they didn't even agree, but it was there on the report, but they didn't even agree on that one. That is why our minutes reflect it. Our minutes, they reflect that. As the committee, we saw that it's 2.1, not the 1.6 that we were told of. Come in, Nola.
Thank you, Chairperson. And I can safely say we are in agreement with what the honorable members are saying. And truth be told, we never really got the responses that we needed from the department. So what I would propose from my side is that the honorable members can submit the inputs to me via email, so that we can draft a letter to the department to request them to give us specific answers on those ones, because we're not going to be able to put the recommendations on the report, or rather the questions as part of the recommendations of the current report, because we don't have the answers. So what we recommend on the report is exactly what was deliberated upon during that committee meeting. So my proposal, Chair, and I think my colleagues would agree with me on this one, is that would like to request the honorable members, Honorable Graham, Honorable Siwisa, and I think it was Honorable Shabalala as well, to submit the inputs to me via email today, so that we can draft the letter to the minister, and we expect the responses thereof. Thank you, Chair.
Can we then consider the report as presented, honorable members?
Chair, I move for the
adoption. Thank you, Honorable Shabalala. She moves for the adoption of the report with the issues that have been raised and highlighted.
I'll second, Chair. Thank you.
Honorable Graham Murray, I think I must get used to it. Honorable Graham Murray, she seconds the adoption of the report with all the highlighted issues. Nola, any correspondences?
Myself.
Nola?
I'm
do we
back,
have
Chair.
Any correspondences?
Yes, Chair, we do have a correspondence. We received some correspondence from Ms. Ndaba, who has apparently been appointed by the IDT to chair a disciplinary proceeding against Mr. Mulawuti, who the honorable members would remember there was a staff member from the IDT who attended a virtual meeting in an appropriate fashion, because they were in bed and they were undressed and all of those. So we got a correspondence as the committee to request the chairperson to submit to the attorneys her representation of how much damage, or rather the impact of what Mr. Mlauzi had done, had to the proceedings of the committee and the reputation of the committee thereof. This comes after a certain correspondence from Mr. Mlauzi apologizing for what had transpired on that day. So what we did was to respond then to the attorneys, Mr. Ndaba, and explained to them that we received an apology. We accept that it was inappropriate for the IDT colleague to do that. However, we plead that whatever happens in their proceedings, it should not lead to a loss of a job on his part. I think that should be all from my side, Chairperson, apart from an announcement that members will be contacted by either myself or Stabiso for the preparations of the oversight visit, of the upcoming envisaged oversight visit, as soon as we get some approval from the House Chairperson and the Chief Whip of the majority party. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Unola. Honorable members, the issue of the IDT employee, yes, we are embarrassed as the committee, but Mr. Ndaba sent Mr. Mlawuti sent an apology to the committee, which I think we shared, but we all shared the same sentiments that at this time, when there are so many job losses, whatever that they do, it must not mean that you will lose his job. Remember, we are all things, but yes, he was inappropriate, but he must not lose his job, whatever disciplinary measures that they effect against it. But also, members, there is also a correspondence that Nola has shared with all of us of the minister updating us on the expropriation bill. I think we can you talk on that one?
Yes. Apologies, Honorable Chair. I literally forgot about it. The minister had responded to our requests. You'd remember, honorable members, on the 24th of June, we were supposed to have a briefing from the department on the progress report on regarding the expropriation bill. However, it had to be changed to accommodate the urgent matter, which had to deal with the infrastructure plan beyond COVID-19. So we then requested the minister to submit a fully fledged report in terms of how they're going and the progress of in terms of the expropriation bill. She has thus submitted that report, which was submitted to honorable members sometime last week, if my memory serves me right, in which she stated that there has been some steps that have been taken, and she's probably looking into tabling to Parliament somewhere around October. So I think, and during our management committee yesterday, we discussed and deliberated on the fact that we should also have a slot within our coming program of the third term, when which we'll get a proper briefing then as of to how far and how ready is the minister and the department to table the expropriation bill to Parliament, so that we can also get ourselves ready as the committee. So that would be one, Chairperson. And I think while I'm still on the podium, maybe I through you, Chair, I can talk to what to expect to the honourable members regarding what to expect in the following term regarding our program. Can I go ahead, Chair?
Yes.
Thank you, Chairperson. What we should be expecting, honourable members, to be in our activities as the portfolio committee in the following term, and of course this depends on the programming of the National Assembly. We were supposed to, as part of the budget vote meetings, we're supposed to have a briefing by the Office of the Auditor General that had to give us a brief in terms of how the department has been performing. So we couldn't have that because that office sent us a correspondence to say they haven't been able to complete their discussions and their consultations with the client, which is the department, based on COVID-19 related matters. So that we should also see on our program coming, the coming program in the third term. We will also look at the budget review and recommendations, in which we'll give the honourable members an output of the BRRR of the report. Thereafter, we also still have an outstanding strategic planning session of the committee, which due to COVID-19, it had to be put on hold, and the programming of the assembly also didn't allow us to do such. Within that, one of the resolutions that I've just read in one of the minutes, and I think it's also on the report as well, it's the issue of the Infrastructure Development Act workshop, which we felt it should also form part of the strat planning session. I've already spoken to the expropriation bill. Shuaib also alluded to the race branch within the department that wanted to report on the development of the urban and rural government precincts. So that we would also feature into our report. The committee would also like to have an update on the SIU report based on one of the recommendations on the reports and the deliberations thereof that took place in one of the committee meetings. Honorable members, the chairperson also proposed yesterday during our management meeting that we should also be looking into having at least 2 meetings in a week because of the magnitude of the work of this committee that is upon us, and based on literally the fact that due to COVID-19, some of the activities had to be put on hold. So in order for us to catch up as a committee, we could have a look at having meetings twice in a week. That should be all from my side. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Nola, for that brief update. Those are some of the things that we must look forward to on our 3rd term. We're still not yet sure when is this term ending or closing, and when is our term starting, honorable members, but Nola will keep us in every way. When there's a new thing coming on, she will update us through the emails or maybe through messages. But any take on this before we adjourn the meeting, honorable members? The announcements and the correspondence are usually not discussed, but we're being here too democratic. Honorable members, thank you again for your time.
Can I say something, Chairman?
Okay, Honorable Matebula.
No, thank you very much. I know that announcements normally they are not discussed. But I'm tempted to say something, especially on one matter, if not two, Chair.
Okay.
It's in relation to the member who appeared on the virtual meeting, wearing in a manner disturbing. Well, I hear that you are saying that, well, maybe part of the behavior is because we are new to this thing. That should not be a justification, Chair, for one to behave in that particular manner. I think it was very much embarrassing to the committee. As much as I do not agree that official should not lose his job for displaying his half-naked body in our meeting. But I think there should be a stern warning that must go out to the member. That will serve as a deterrent to other officials who may want to undermine the good work that we are doing as a committee. So, Chair, I am in agreement that he shouldn't, of course, lose his job, but there must be a stern warning. And lastly, Chair, I'm in agreement with the fact that we should have at least 2 meetings looking at the amount of work that we have ahead of us and in the presence of us, at least in a week. That I agree with. That's all I wanted to say, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Matebula. Any other member?
Chairperson is Patricia Kopani.
Honorable Kopani.
Thank you, Chair. Mine, Chair, I just wanted to highlight what you just said. That is very important. That is the oversight mechanism over projects that are done on behalf of public works. So I think in the next term on our strategic plan, we need to put that also into the program, because it's something that is very concerning going forward. I think we have to put it to give it attention.
Thank you, Honorable
Chairperson.
Kopane. Honorable Shabalala.
Thank you, Chair. I wouldn't want to argue with Honorable Matsebula, but I just want to share with you that on the first weeks or first days of the COVID-19, I happened to see one of the companies, the private sector, I think it was overseas somewhere, when they had these visual meetings. And because they were, like, sometimes people were not even sure whether they switch off. But it was at the end of the meeting when one guy was not aware that they have not switched. So he stood up because he had his shirt, like he was looking presentable on top. But when he stood up, he had his, what do you call this thing? This short underwear. And all of the colleagues laughed. And when he looked back, he realized that it has not been switched off. But there is this issue of the oversight. I think, Chairperson, we will not be balancing or even we will not even be aligned to the oversight model. If we were to have meetings only but not there, am I still audible or am I talking alone now?
You're still audible.
Okay. Chairperson, the oversight model that has been adopted, that we're following, we need to have meetings, but two oversights before we could even pass the budget, if I am not mistaken. Now, the issue for me is that we're stressing on meetings. Of course, it's okay, but we have not even had a sight of whatever that we're talking about. For me, this is a real concern, that we not even have the sight of whatever that we've been told, neither of any of the projects. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. I think the issue of the IDT employee is not coming for the first time. When he wrote the the apology, excuse me, when he wrote the apology, I think we read it in the meeting and discussed it. We all agreed that yes, he embarrassed us as the committee, and we said that proper action must be taken against him. We accepted then his apology that he wrote, and the IDT is following up on the matter. We're not saying that the IDT must stop following up on the matter, but we're saying that whatever that they deem fit as the punishment must not be that he must lose his job. Currently, many are losing their jobs in South Africa, so we must not add on what is currently happening, which is so bad, even for many people of South Africa. So he must not be a statistics also and add on that because of his behavior. That's what we are saying. What he did was wrong. We all agree on that one. There can be never any justification of what he did, but we're saying that whatever that they do, it's them, it's not us who are going to effect that punishment or whatever that they fit that he must receive. It's not us, but we're saying that it must not be that he must lose his job. I think we were clear on that one, even when we received his apology. I think all the others, we're noting the suggestion, Nola, that are coming from the members. When we deal with that act, I think when we have that workshop of the Infrastructure Act, yeah, I think, and we must also talk on this issue of how we're going to play our oversight. I think we must look at all the possible ways, if not on that day, when we do our strategy. Honorable members, thank you again for your progressive input in the reports that we had, your comments, which are always progressive in this meeting. We are having a plenary at 3 today. We hope that all of you will be able to log in and join the plenary as the members. I want to also, please stay safe. COVID-19 is real. The minister said last time in the plenary, he said that it now has an identity, because it may be my sister, it may be my aunt, my cousin, my colleague who has passed on due to COVID-19. So please observe all the health protocols. Stay safe, honorable members, and our support. This thing is real. This thing is killing our people. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chair.
Sorry for your loss, Chair, and thank you for addressing.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.